Kelsey.
Where is she?
So sweet. Hi, Sue.
Oh, there she is. Aww. Little one.
Gonna give this another minute or two.
Oh,
Still have people joining.
you all.
Oh, look, we got a wave from the Ludwigs over there.
Hey,
Hey.
Hello.
Dean and Abby, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, Sarah.
Oh, look at the Ludwigs.
Look at
You
them
have the
all.
most.
They're all fitted into one screen. I love it. I love it, you guys. You're like a moving family portrait,
Yeah.
like Hogwarts.
Still have some folks joining. We'll wait a little bit longer before we get started.
I don't want to make you all jealous, but I got Don a present today.
And
Oh,
And
Yeah, I got him a big rock, which I had to lug with me on my run for like 3/4 of a mile. So that's
Oh.
dedication.
That's love.
That's love.
that's the real thing, yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with the rock?
Well, he's painting. He's painting, and I got him a rock so that he could study it in real, in 3D and try to figure out why the rocks in his paintings aren't coming out the way he wants.
oh,
I've got a book
Oh, I
of
can-
Shijo based on rock pictures, and I'd be glad to send you a file, a page or two.
Ooh,
Sure.
please
Kind of
do.
fun.
Rocks are beautiful, but they're hard to capture.
Yeah.
I was worried that you were sending him a pet rock.
No, I wasn't. No,
Yes.
although I'm not telling him what to do with it. If that's where he wants to go with it, Carter.
I may paint it itself.
Okay.
oh.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
What do we think? Should we get started?
So when it's
Yeah, sure.
Good morning, everyone. Great to see you all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Regathering Sunday, and welcome to First Church Online. So usually we'd be gathered at some point this morning right here where I am in Margaret.
Uh-oh.
You lost your voice.
Uh-oh.
Dan, we can't hear you. Can you unmute?
Most of you have not been here for about 6 months, so we wanted to show you this space, and we're going to use this orientation to also show you some other spaces in the building. And so stay tuned for that. We're going to talk more about orientation in our service today. But welcome again if you're just joining us to our Regathering orientation. I'm now going to send it over to our new pastoral associate. In case you've been away these past several weeks, you may not have yet had a chance to meet Jaz Buchanan, but you're about to, and she's going to open us with a word of prayer.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
So as we walk into our sanctuaries, I invite you to inhale and exhale into your body. If you would like, you may join me in some movement via standing or sitting, or by just closing your eyes, listening with your heart and soul. I invite you to reach.
Oh, okay, let's do this. Are you gonna...
God, we thank you for this magnificent and huge and big world and universe and all of your
How
creation.
do I change the name? Down here?
Extend our arms to our side, embracing your love and sharing.
I don't remember exactly, honey. I'd have to experiment. So that's worth it. Either one is worth a try. Actually, can we?
Give ourselves a big hug, asking you to remind us to love ourselves as much as you love us. And let us say it together, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jaz.
Hey, Dan, before you start, can you
Yep.
just remind people to mute themselves? Because we only want to hear the speakers right now.
Right. Thank you. And for those who were not able to hear Jaz's beautiful opening prayer, we have and are recording this session. And so if you missed the beginning or if you need to step away, you'll be able to find it on our YouTube page. So welcome to those who have just joined. We just want to say a few comments before we begin and invite different staff people in different places in the building to share a little bit about what we can look forward to this coming fall. Most of our staff have been working from home during this whole stretch. A few are here. Certainly our homeless ministry staff are here. You'll be hearing more about that shortly. In case you have not picked it up yet, we are planning to have this fall be almost completely remote. And that means worship will be online, our programming will be online. We offer several opportunities for people to gather in person. The deacons are wondering about leading some walks in different places. And if you have ideas for small gatherings where you are, please do that. However, for us here at First Church, we are just now opening our building in a limited way for a Newtown School, who will be here about half capacity. And we also will continue our homeless ministries, which are feeding 500 people a week and serving shelter guests 24/7. So big hats off to all those who are in the building now. One of the big changes for this fall that we wanted to take some time to underscore with you is the start time of our formation programming. We've already started. It's at 9:30. So everybody say that with me wherever you are. 9:30 hour. It's not the 10 o'clock hour anymore. It's 9:30, and there's a few reasons for this. One is so that staff can get a little breather between that and going to our online worship, but also, more importantly, so you all can have a chance to get a break from your screens, have a cup of coffee, go for a walk. Most of our 9:30 hours in the coming weeks will go no longer than an hour. So we'll be gathering 9:30 to 10:30 for children and families and an adult formation. So it'll be 9:30, 11, and then often another time to gather at 12:15. Let me stop there and now turn it to Sarah.
Everybody, I am in my office, the landing. You might see I am surrounded by Godly Play materials. I actually have lots of materials up here from the well because we're using the well right now as a space for our shelter guests to live while they're here 24/7 during this strange time. So I've got lots of supplies here and I want to tell you about what's coming for families and kids. First though, I want to know, maybe some of you, I know some of you, came and picked up your church at home kit yesterday from me and Jaz and Lexi. You'll see a little bit of what's inside, and I want you to know that you are welcome to come next Saturday to pick it up. Any age, any family configuration, every First Church person is welcome to come and pick up a church at home kit. But I want to talk a little bit about remote church school. So remote church school is going to happen at 9:30, just like Dan said. All of our formation will happen then. And ours probably won't run the whole hour. So I just want to assure you, we won't be on Zoom and YouTube for a full 60 minutes. It'll probably be 35 to 40 minutes long. But everyone's going to be invited to our different activities on different Sundays. And some of them are multi-generational, so grown-ups, listen in. We'll be doing on the first Sundays of the month a Creative Arts Sunday, where we'll be doing an arts workshop via Zoom, and you're all welcome to join that no matter how old you are or young you are. And sometimes we'll have supplies to offer you, like in our kits right now, we have supplies for our October Creative Arts time, so you can come and pick those up. On second Sundays for kids, we're going to have some pre-recorded read-alouds from our book corner. And I may be asking some of you grown-ups if you would like to record yourself telling a story from a picture book in our corner. You can take the book home, I can drop it off at your house, you can record yourself, and then you will be watched by kids and families on the second Sunday of the month. On the third and fourth Sundays of the month, that's when we'll be doing our church school classes. So we have 2 godly play classes on the third Sunday. We have Alpha and Omega for the younger and the older kids from preschool to 4th grade. And then we have our Bible 101 class for 5th and 6th graders. I will be recording lessons for that, and Phil Jones will be facilitating the Zoom call for that. And we have our faith and social justice class for 7th and 8th graders, and that will be led by Jaz Buchanan, and she's going to be connecting to folks in the church who are doing some good social justice work. So our 7th and 8th graders are going to get integrated into what we are as First Church in terms of living out our faith through our justice work. On 4th Sundays, Godly Play will be multi-generational. So all of you are invited on 4th Sundays at 9:30 to watch the YouTube pre-record of a story and then join the church school Zoom and wonder about that story together. We're super excited to have grown-ups get to take part in Godly Play the way our kids do. Just want to remind families to go to the Google form to register your kids for remote church school. The link is in the bulletin. It's also in the emails that I send out to families. And parents, stay tuned for a more specific email about your children's classes, just so you know how to get there, when to get there. We'll start in a Zoom call. We'll go watch something on YouTube. We'll come back to a Zoom call. The whole thing should take about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And also just a shout out to the high schoolers that you are the youth group, and you've probably already heard from Dan, but you guys are getting together next week on Sunday, the 20th. And I'm really glad that we've got such a nice group of teenagers who can be part of that youth group experience. I think that's all I have. So I'm going to turn it over to Peter Sykes, who is down in his studio, I think.
That's right. I am down in my studio, which is underneath the main sanctuary church. Some of you may not know that this exists, but I have a collection of harpsichords here. And so I'm going to give you a 10-second tour.
You are not in the wing of the MFA right now.
So these are some of my instruments. Some of them are out with students or at other places. And so my plan for the fall is that when we have pre-recorded services, I will make the voluntary selections featuring one of these different instruments, and so that we'll be able to hear them all on Sunday mornings.
Thank you, Peter.
And I don't know, thank you. I don't know who to hand it off to.
I believe that's me, and that's a great segue. Thank you
Okay.
for that. Hi all, I'm Lexi, one of the pastoral associates, and one of my focuses here is digital ministry. And as you've all noticed, we aren't all in the Harder Room right now. We are on Zoom. Everything that we are doing in this season is a part of digital ministry here. So I thank you in advance for your spirit of enthusiasm around learning new things with me this year. It's been quite a journey thus far, and I imagine that it will be quite a journey in the fall and winter months for us. One exciting announcement that we have is that we are in the process of working on launching a brand new website that will be the hub of our life together, hopefully. And we're hoping that it will be able to be available for use during Advent sometime, or maybe in the beginning of Advent. So that's really exciting and in the works. Another thing is that we're becoming more active on social media. We have a full-fledged YouTube channel. Can you believe it? Our worship is on there, our sermon videos are on there, as well as lots of children's formation content, music, devotional reflections, and recorded formation opportunities like this one are on there as well. If you subscribe to our channel, you'll be aware of when we put up new material, and it also helps people find us on the web. We are up to 76 subscribers, so that's really exciting. So I encourage you to check that out. If you are curious of how to find that information, the link is in our bulletin, as well as links to specific videos are on our Facebook page. And also in my email signature, I have links to both our Facebook and YouTube accounts. So send me an email. We are speaking of our expanded communications and digital ministry here, we're looking to build a little team of people who want to think creatively about our online presence at First Church. So if you're interested in that, or even just have any questions for me, please let me know. In addition to our live stream worship, which we will experience this morning, we've experimented over the summer with YouTube premiere worship, pre-recorded worship, Zoom worship, live Zoom worship, and plan on coming back to these formats periodically going forward, just for some variety in worship experience. So if you would like to participate as a remote liturgist in a worship service, please let me know. Email me, sign up on the form in our bulletin. It's a really fun way to get involved and to serve the church. And in my opinion, if we aren't all involved in the worship, then it's not church. And with that, I will pass it on to Dan.
Great. And Lexi, if you could post your email address in the chat, that would be a lovely addition. Thanks, Lindsay, for that question. Good morning again, everyone. So now I'm no longer in Margaret Jewett Hall. I am in our Harder room, which at the moment is set up in part as a studio for Peter because of what's going on in the basement now for our homeless ministries. And yet I'm here because I want to talk to you about adult formation very briefly. In the coming weeks, starting next Sunday at 9:30, we will have a 4-part series led by Hillary Hopkins and Dave Dyer called Plymouth's Pilgrims. As many of you know, 2020 marks 400 years since the Pilgrims landed. This curriculum is sponsored by the Congregational Library, and it will take us on a deep dive into the questions about who the Pilgrims were, where they were coming from, and also some of the painful questions of our heritage and history of colonization. So we invite you to join us at 9:30 on September 20th, and then for the first 3 Sundays of October. Also, next Sunday after church, Lori Burt will be joining us with Ed Baker and Bill Shao. Many of you will remember parts 1 and 2 of our 3-part Perspectives Amidst a Pandemic series. And Lori will be focusing on climate change and COVID, and especially with all of our hearts going out to folks on the West Coast right now. The timing of this conversation is poignant. So we look forward to hearing Lori's perspectives on climate change amidst a pandemic, and we'll have Ed Baker and Bill Shao join us for some responses and for a question and answer session after church next week. There are several faith and life groups that we're offering. I'm not going to go into the descriptions of all of them. I just want to make sure you hear the array of opportunities for online connection in small groups. Braiding Sweetgrass book group, First Church's women's reading group, Feeling Newer to Conversations about Race, Reparations Accountability group, Relational God, Process Relational Theology and Implications for Today, Stamped, the Remix, the Intergenerational Formation on Race, Genealogy, Finding Our Family's Histories, and Dancing with God in Body and Spirit, which is offered by our new pastoral associate, Jaz Buchanan. Many opportunities for connection. We know many of you are on Zoom all day, every day, and we know it's a challenge to find time for your families or yourselves to be on yet more Zoom, and yet we invite you to use this technology to stay connected as you're able and when you can. And speaking of which, starting this Wednesday, Carlisle Stewart, our community minister for racial justice, will be leading a church-wide program called A Call to Return, Theological and Spiritual Reflections on Racial Justice. Carlisle is actually we will see and hear Carlisle during our service today. He couldn't make it now, but he will have an announcement to share more about that program. It will be weekly for 90 minutes from 5:30 to 7 on Wednesdays. And he will be offering town hall meetings starting on September 27th, and then one in November and one in January for the whole church after church. Please participate in what you can of these programs. They will all be recorded, so you can choose when to dip in and to be a part of those if you can't make it in person. And having said all that, I will turn it to Kate to talk about our homeless ministries.
Mute myself. All right, I'm going to unmute myself. Hi, everybody. It has been an amazing 6 months with some of our ministries. Are we going to Jaz to look at the narthex? Is that the plan?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so most of our ministries have been online, most of our activities and ways of connecting, but not our homeless ministry. So as you heard from Dan, the shelter is now 24/7, and the narthex has been what you're looking at right this second. Jaz, if you'll turn it back for a second, you're looking at components of our new heating system. So the narthex has been a staging ground for the installation of the boilers. And over here, you see bottled water and supplies. And if you turn all the way around, you'll see the shelving for the Friday Cafe. Yep, there it is, Friday Cafe shelving and all of the supplies that we went outside within the space of just a few days. We pivoted, and that's been the name of the game during COVID, is just a huge, exuberant, stressful, lively pivot to a completely new way of doing what we do. Jaz, if you'll walk over toward the tower room for a moment. Do you know where that is? Yeah, Jaz is new, and I'm throwing these technical terms. The tower room is where we bag lunches and dinners, and if those doors were open out onto Mason Street, you'd see us walk out into the world and serve and greet people and hand out bag lunches, and there we go, out to the world. And we have a blue canopy on Fridays and tables, and we hand out bag lunches made by Cambridge neighbors and supplies like toiletries and socks and underwear. On the lawn, we have seating, and we have secondhand clothing and a charging station, and we hope soon a small library. It's been a really lively center of activity, and there's lots of ways for you to participate. So check your bulletin for those, or just shoot me an email and ask for more information. There are two other ministries that bring First Church out into the world, out through those open doors, that I just want to mention. One is the Cambridge Interfaith Sanctuary Coalition. We are supporting a young family in Sanctuary over at a neighboring church at University Lutheran Church, a mother and two young children. And they have been weathering this COVID storm just like the rest of us. So there are ways to get involved in that, and Sarah is the person to speak to. She's our contact for that. And then finally, the Greater Boston Interfaith Coalition, a coalition of faith groups and nonprofits, of people who get together to build power at the grassroots and affect change in the Commonwealth for the common good. Very exciting. We have Will Erickson and Phil Jones are our point people there. They will help organize us and help us add our power to this grassroots effort to make an impact on our world. So lots of ways to get involved.
We also want to mention our First Church shelter, and it's being open 24/7 right now. One of the reasons we're not down there is because it's people's home, and they are doing whatever they are doing, and we don't want to be in the midst of that. However, we're so grateful to our shelter staff and guests for accommodating, for being so flexible in these times. The shelter, which usually is open from 8 to 8, is 6 to 8, is now open 24/7. In addition, we are about to sign a contract with the city of Cambridge to staff showers over on Church Street across from where the movie theater used to be. First Church is in the mix of a lot of homeless services in the city of Cambridge, and we are so grateful to all of you for your support of those ministries, and especially to our very hardworking staff and volunteers, Jim and Kate and others. Thank you. And over to you, Jaz.
So as we head into a stewardship season and think about what it looked like in the past with traditional offering plates, we are in these times going to be experiencing a different stewardship season together, using more of media to share testimonies, reflections, finances, remembering what the last pledge season, all of your generosity enabled us to do, and imagining with God what our future will look like. And unlike years prior, we'll be having an online option to pledge early. So we encourage you to vote early and pledge early with us at First Church.
Thank you, Jaz. And I think now, does that do it? Any other staff components that we want to include here? I think we can open it up for a time of questions and other considerations people may have. You can post questions in the chat. We'll try to get those as we're able, or comments. I'm going to turn it over to Lexi a little bit to moderate this one. And yeah, these can be questions about anything, not necessarily our fall program per se. It could be anything having to do with our life together at First Church. Are there things you're curious about? Are there things you're wondering about? Let's open it up. Comments you'd like to make?
Steve Weller says, thanks, Jaz. And remember, unlike voting, you can give as often as you like.
Nice. Thank you, Steve.
And just, if I can make a comment, as you've all been broadcasting from different parts of the church building and saying all the, showing all these different ways, I hope people recognize how the amazing gifts that this congregation pledged and has been giving, and even people who were joined to the congregation over the years, like, this is how we are continuing to do our work. And, we on the stewardship committee and just wanted to say thank you for everything that has made this year possible. And we'll be continuing that conversation forward as we go through the fall in a different way, and really looking forward to that as well.
Thank you, Steve. Really appreciate it. Bruce Hoppy has a question for us. He says, looks great. Do we have any sense of our in-person worship timetable?
Thanks, Bruce, for that question. I think as far as Sunday morning in-person worship goes, we are planning to be remote and online through Christmas. I know that is heartbreaking for us and for you, and yet given what we're reading and seeing in terms of concerns about what the fall could look like with the pandemic, we feel like that is staying on the side of safety for all. If there is a shift in that, we will certainly let you know. If there's an opportunity to invite some people to come and worship, and yet that's a hard question. That's a theological question, because who gets to come? And we're still wrestling with that ourselves. So thank you, Bruce. And at this point, I think it's probably best if we don't plan on gathering in person through the end of the year. If you have a strong sense that we can and should be gathering please speak with us. Speak with leaders, speak with the executive council or deacons. We certainly would love to hear a range of ideas, and we know that there's a range of ideas. So let's have conversation heading into the next several weeks, and we can revise as needed.
Great, thanks, Dan, for that very nice answer. Joanne Paul lifts up that the open grid schedule is very helpful. And I think she's referring to our worship and formation schedule that we put in our First Glance newsletter. And I direct all of you to take a look at that, because it's helpful if you're more of a spatial learner to see, you know, where our formation and worship times are going to be happening throughout the fall and winter. And if you have questions about that or can't find it, please let us know. Okay, Kathy Garnett asks, how is pastoral care being handled during this time?
I can take that one, mostly over the phone or FaceTime or Zoom. I have had a very small number of in-person meetings outside at this point, but most of the pastoral care needs are via phone or Zoom or cards. The pastoral care ministry is back up and running, and Susie will be talking about that, I believe, next week in church. And please, please, please be reaching out to one another. I would say, in fact, that a good amount of pastoral care, because we all need it right now, right? We all do, is happening via these small group opportunities, the small group check-ins, where we can share of our lives, our vulnerabilities, and hold each other and be held in prayer and by God's love. So thanks for that question, Kathy. And once again, if you're hearing things from us that don't make sense to you, or you have other ideas, let us know. I will say, I visited Cynthia Shoemaker, who is at the Courtyard Nursing Home Care Center in Medford. That's what I meant to say. And they allowed me to see her outside of the door for 25 minutes, socially distanced, with a staff person there the whole time. It was the first time she had been out of her room in quite a while. And so there are some opportunities like that that are starting to happen. That was just 2 weeks ago. And so we're starting to really try to connect, especially with those who have been most isolated. So let's hold Cynthia in our prayers, and all of those for whom getting out is still a major challenge.
And if there are people who are consistently on your mind and in your prayers, let them know. Like, let them know that they're in your prayers. Write them a note, send them an email, and let us know. Thanks, Dan. Sarah posted that very helpful grid schedule in the chat for your convenience if you'd like it.
Other questions, comments? Ready to take a break before worship, I wonder?
I see some nodding heads.
Okay, that's fine. We've got a full morning, and our mornings are going to be full, so yeah.
All right. So we are going to get out of this meeting by singing together. And I know singing on Zoom can sound atrocious, but I think it's actually really fun. So I'm going to lead Amen like I did with the kids when we had our Zoom calls on Thursdays back in the spring. So in order to clap with us, you can clap like this to your screen. Can you guys see me? And you can clap your hands like this as we sing. So unmute yourself, please. I want to hear it in all its atrocious glory. Unmute. Here we go.
Amen.
Blessed worship.
See you soon.
Bye.
Happy regathering, everybody. Happy regathering.
Together.